Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tales of the Unberechenbar. I am the wildcard Tommy Dillon, and it's been a while, but I am right here, right now, with Joshua Snow, the owner of NSAW, that is Non-Stop Action Wrestling. Joshua, welcome to Tales of the Unberechenbar.
This has actually taken too long to actually sort out.
Oh, right.
We've been wanting to do this for months. This should have happened earlier on.
Yeah.
It just took too long to get to.
I believe it's meant to happen. We were meant to do it about 3 times before, but someone always got in the way, like we were doing a show and we were running off our feet, or one of us couldn't make it, and illness, all this was going on.
It's just I don't want to say cursed. It's just been an absolute nightmare to try and get this. But yeah. I'm here now.
Yes.
I'm here. Hello.
Yes, we are.
Hi.
Right. Now, as I'm sure you've listened to all the other versions of this, all the other episodes, I always start right back at the beginning.
Yes.
Because everybody, when you leave school, everyone tells you need a plan. So the question is to you, Joshua Snow, what was your plan leaving school? Did it involve wrestling, or did something change and it led to wrestling from your point of view?
So, for me, when it came to wrestling, I used to watch a lot of total non-stop action wrestling when I was younger, when Bully Ray and Jeff Hardy, Main Event Mafia, were running around, and it was sort of during my high school days. That's what I used to watch. It just kept me happy, even if it was like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I had to keep hiding away every time parents walked into the room. It was like, "Are you watching wrestling?" No, you best be asleep. But then I got involved in the backyard world of wrestling. At one point, I'd have been ashamed to admit it.
You should never be ashamed of your past.
No.
Because even if it's a bad decision or a good decision, you learn from it.
Exactly.
Right? Everything that leads you to where you are.
Of course. And to be honest, it did inform me a lot of the the different choices that I made later on, because that's actually... Oh, shock horror. Joshua Snow's going to break the veil for a second here. It's what inspired me to become the kind of person that I am within wrestling. And it informed a lot of my choices. It didn't inform my choice for non-stop action wrestling until much later on. But, from that point on, I started training at Steel City. I started training at UK Wrestling. I've started training at different places, and I just remember feeling a lot like a weight had been lifted from my shoulders, because for a long time I didn't know what it was I wanted to be. For a while I actually was thinking of joining the Royal Fleet Auxiliary, but because of my medical history, I couldn't join. And that was a very big kick in the gut for me. And then I fully threw myself into wrestling, and, well, here I am now.
Absolutely, yes. I do remember when you first came to me about non-stop action wrestling, when you were first starting out, and you asked me to be the trainer, and also to wrestle on the shows as well. I was up for it, because you and me, our first meeting was quite a dramatic one, wasn't it? Because we met at a training session in UKW, and we had a training match against each other, didn't we? And you twisted your ankle, as
yes.
I remember it. And I then, because the train station was quite far away, I gave you a lift up to the train. But I remember saying to you at the time, get better, come back stronger.
Well, I like to think in that regards, I did do that.
Oh yeah, you did, yeah.
It's from the career that's been had so far, and everything that's been involved in it, and every single interaction that we've had since then, I like to think that I've grown alongside everyone. Wrestling for me it's not just something I do as a hobby, it's my life now. I like to think wrestling saved me, and the people within it also helped me as well, and also saved me. I don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for wrestling. I genuinely think that. It's probably a bit morbid to think about, but I look at it as a positive memory.
Yeah.
It's... I don't want to stop. The only time I'll stop is if I end up being crippled or in a wheelchair or comatose. But if I will keep going at this for as long as I can. And I think I've got a lot of people out there who, well, maybe expect that of me, but I expect it of myself as well.
Yeah.
It's an expectation I've set upon myself.
Yeah, it's something that Triple H said when he had to retire due to the heart attack. He said he never wanted like the final match, the retirement match, and the big goodbye afterwards. He just wanted to keep going until the wheels fell off, and yeah, I can understand that.
It's just a huge part of my life.
Of course it is.
You know, I will keep doing this, and I'm sure you feel the same. I will keep doing this as long as I can.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
It's given me tears of joy, of sadness, of happiness. I've felt pain I never would have expected to feel before, but I've also experienced such wonderful joys.
Yes.
And it's every single person I've been in that ring with, for better or worse, it's been an honour, really.
Of course, yeah.
I don't think I could have asked for a better group of people to have come across.
Yeah. Right, talking about non-stop action wrestling, let's go right back to the beginning of that, from its first inception up to where it is now. How did the idea for non-stop action wrestling become a thing, and how did you build it from that?
So originally, it was doomed to become a backyard company of sorts. I guess I wanted to try and give what I was taught at that time to everyone else, because I noticed in particular, if you're a fan of wrestling, this isn't to say that all schools are like that, but it can be quite hard for a new person to go to a school, to start training, and then they feel this sense of intimidation when they see that there's lots of other people who are years beyond where they are, and that it's like, can I keep up with that? I don't know if I can, and they feel intimidated out of it. What I wanted to do was give them a platform to be able to go, well, actually, yeah, they're so far ahead of me, but it's fine. This is where I'm supposed to be. But it doesn't mean I can't get to that position. I wanted to become sort of like the gateway for new people coming into wrestling. For your Connor Cages, your Dante Okaras, your Drac Crossers, every single person who was effectively wanting to become like the next big thing. It was less for me. I just wanted to add some extra fresh blood into the wrestling scene, and for better or worse, I think that's what we've done.
I'll certainly say so, yeah.
And you know, you, J-Ro, Richard, everyone who's been involved, Ty, Ash, Mark, Danny, you know, yeah, we've had our differences, but I like to think that we've all done this for the same reasons, that we wanted to see it grow, we wanted to help people grow, and that's, you know, yes, NSAW is coming to the end of its first chapter, but the second chapter will be written soon.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And I don't look upon it with sadness, I look upon it with pride, with everyone that I went through with. It was always supposed to be just a chance for people to be able to get into the wrestling scene. A chance for people to be able to show what they've got and to be able to expand on what they've got. And I think we've done that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to stop doing that.
No, of course not.
But obviously Lily Jane, little child on the way, they come first in all of this. It's, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about that later on. But next thing I wanted to talk to you about was, and this is really pulling back the kayfabe on this, Remus Caine.
Yes.
Right. How did he come into creation?
So Remus Caine is a mix of my different, likes in terms of my hobbies and such. Remus, as I'm sure everyone who's talked to me knows, is from the tales of Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome. It was the sort of what if Remus Caine, or Remus in this case, didn't actually die. He wasn't killed by Romulus. He survived, became sort of like the devil's pawn to go out and basically take over the world in small secretive ways. And Cain is actually from Cain and Abel. Again, very religious. It's sort of what I wanted to try and dive into with this. A religious being that isn't necessarily supernatural or anything, very much still based in reality. The only thing supernatural is the whole thousands of years worth of living experience, but we'll ignore that for now.
I think that's a good character to have. Because, I mean, even if you wanted to make it more realistic, you just say the guy's insane.
Yeah.
But, you know, somebody who believes that they are the reincarnation of a great man, a great leader, a great creator, I mean, that's a dangerous person. Well, just for having that belief.
Of course. I mean, how much more bigger than can you get than the founder of Rome itself? Yeah. I know everyone's like, oh, Romulus, but it was Romulus and Remus.
Yeah.
The only reason that they're called Romans today is because Romulus won.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if Remus had won, they'd all be called Remans. But I don't think that works as quite as well.
Yes, I'm going on holiday to Rheims this week.
Yeah, that's probably going to get a lot of eyebrows raised at the dinner table, I imagine. But as for Remus themselves, I'll base them off my favourite wrestlers. And when I say them, you'll probably see the similarities. There's Randy Orton, there's John Moxley, there's bits of like, who else? Just in terms of the sheer amount of pain they're willing to take, there's a bit of Sabu in there.
Yeah.
Like, obviously not the whole only willing to do hardcore matches because their wrestling ability isn't as good. I love Sabu, but I don't want to hear people say that he's one of the best wrestlers out there. He's good at what he does.
Yes, he is.
But, yeah, I always wanted to try and go for that calculating, sort of methodical yet wild and crazy individual who's just willing to go the extra length.
Yeah.
You know, who loves to cause pain, but isn't afraid of taking it either.
Awesome.
I mean, I remember our first match that we did, our first ever match, and I think we both caught each other off guard a little bit, because we were just there mouthing at each other in the ring, and I gave you a big right hook.
Oh, yeah.
One
of the stiffest right hooks I've ever taken.
And I was just thinking, oh, no. What have I done? But, to be honest, after that, we just got on with it, and you know, you gave as good as I gave.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think if I didn't do that, I don't think we'd probably be where we are right now. Because if I'd have given you that stiff right hook and then complained about it afterwards, about how stiff you were back, it's like, well, he's just a POS.
Yeah.
But I always go by the belief of you give as good as you take.
Yeah.
So if you want to, like, not stiff somebody to the point of buggery, but if you want to stiff someone in a match, don't be afraid of being stiffed yourself.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, the thing about that was, as you say, you can't be afraid to be stiffed, and that, you know, I'm the same. Even, you know, that first shot, if you're going to start on a fisticuffs, that first shot has to look good, because if it doesn't, it just kills the fisticuffs.
Absolutely.
So for me, you know, taking that first shot, I know you're not trying to hurt me, you're just trying to make it look good.
Yeah.
And for that reason, I'm willing to take that shot, and I'm willing to give it back.
Oh, yeah.
And also, if we drag this back a bit further, this feud actually started during the pandemic.
It's funnily enough, it's the only tie between my backyard days and my professional career.
Yeah.
Because I was watching UK wrestling mainly because of, and I'll say his name, it was mainly because of Nick at the time, my former tag partner, DeCaro, and he wanted me to start training. And I did.
Yeah.
And then I've been to a UK dub show before, and I watched you, and I was like, if there was anybody I wanted to face in UK dub the most, it was going to be Tommy Dillon, the wild card. Just because, I don't know. I like to think when I go into the ring, my style's really malleable with whoever I go up against.
Yeah.
Like, I could go in the ring with almost anybody, and I think I could have a good match with them.
And you have done. You've had some great matches.
That's not a boast on my end. I just think that's something I can do. Like, when Owen Carter had his first match, when Phantom Phoenix had his first match, you know.
That was a show-stealing tag match at WAS Deadline.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you guys against, it was Carter and Phoenix that night, wasn't it?
It was,
you and Majakester, yeah.
funnily enough, WAS, they all voted it as best match of the year.
It stole that show. It really did. And, that show really lived up to expectations in a lot of ways, but that match really stole the whole show.
For me, it's always trying to put over the other person. But going back to us in this, saw you, I wanted to face off with you, and then I guess I should have asked you beforehand, because then I started putting out a load of promo videos. And that's when I started learning about wrestling etiquette, that actually that's not a very good thing to do. But
some people are okay with it, some others, if you're not as close, because it's like you and me, we'd bonded right away.
Yeah.
When we first met at training. So when you threw it out, I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I thought, yeah, this is great. Me and him can start a little feud. And there was something going on during the pandemic as well. So it was, it kept me fresh as far as being a wrestler goes. But then it's like you say, some people don't take it that way.
To be honest, I'm surprised that I even got a foot into UK wrestling. Not because of my wrestling talent, but because I was effectively, compared to a lot of people there, I suppose you could say this about anybody going into any company, I was effectively a nobody. Nobody knew who I was. I just sort of came up, did some promos that were very fiery, and I managed to get in. I remember my first appearance was actually a triple threat match between DeCaro, Palmer, and Jepson.
Yeah.
And I got involved in that, technically. I remember throwing Palmer right through the barricades. Thus the tale of Remus versus the steel barricades was born at UK Wrestling. Oh, God. You even mentioned that in one of my matches, I think. Yes. It was a triple threat with Evan Knight and Brett Sedgwick. It's barricades never cease when Remus Caine's around.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't the only time you'd been through it as well.
No.
Because, if we can skip forward from where we were just then with Palmer and me, skip forward a few years when you made your return to UK Wrestling on Genesis. Genesis Ignite against Case and Riley, which, by the way, another awesome match.
He's a brilliant worker.
That ended just on a brawl.
Oh, yeah.
You both, I believe you both got counted out of disqualified.
We did, yes.
And you just brawled your way right out of the building.
It's like, we've only ever had one singles match, and I've always made it very clear I've always wanted another singles match with you. Kaysen's another one. I feel like I have loads of matches with people, but unless it's like a couple of individuals like Horace, I've never had multiple singles matches with the same person constantly. The only people I can name are Young Horace and Sammy Blue and Billy O'Keefe.
Yeah.
Who, again, all three of them very talented individuals. But I feel like I've missed out a bit with you and Kaysen. But in this case, it's you, because I think we should have had more matches, to be honest. We've had our tag matches, but we've only ever had one singles match. And I'm just thinking, how has that happened? How have we only ever had one singles match?
Yeah.
Like, we have effectively beat the snot out of each other so many other times. And then I had to laugh a little bit, because then GTM rolled around and we ended up on the same team for 3-on-3. And I was just like, this would break both our minds. It's like, what? No.
That's why I insisted when we went out there that you and I were not on the same page.
Oh, absolutely.
And then we had that perfect picture taken by the photographer where it was like you and me face to face. And I remember commenting on it, you can feel the sexual tension.
Oh, God. I still remember when you, and I say this with affection, because I find it so funny to look back on. Yeah. First time we met, did you or did you not think I was gay to start off with?
Yes, I did. I just, but that's not, it's not like an insult or anything, or that I thought, that I thought it was whatever. Oh. It's just I've usually got a really good gaydar. I can usually tell when people are gay or straight.
I always like to say, every time anybody asks that, I always tell them that that they're half right, because
you're bi.
I'm bi, obviously. I just found it so funny when you just saw me walking in with my partner at the point, and he's like, "Wait, you're not gay."
That had actually happened about a week or so beforehand, because I was in NSAW doing a training session, and someone said, "Oh yeah, Josh and Jenny are coming." I was just like, "Josh and Jenny?" Yeah. As in Jenny who goes here. And they're like, "Oh, didn't you know they were together?" I'm like, "No, I thought you were gay."
I still think it's funny, but I look back.
How long had we known each other at that point? It was a couple of years by that point.
A couple of years. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes I do act a bit fruity, as you say,
it
but
wasn't
it's like
even that. It's just like I say. I mean, usually I can tell. You know, I mean, I won't say I've outed people, but
no.
I usually, people. It's like some people will say to me, "Oh, Dom, I'm coming out of the closet. I'm actually gay," and I'll be like, "Yeah, I already knew."
Well, consider me uranium because I suppose you gaydar onto a bit of a fritz there. He's just like, I cannot compute. What is this?
I was half right.
You were half right. Hey, there we go.
Yeah, but that was the thing. I mean, in that 2 years that we knew each other, did I treat you any different to how I treat anyone else?
To be honest, like, overall, reception from wrestling, 90% of the time has been really positive. Like,
yeah.
I'm not going to name any names here because I think that's unfair, but I hear absolute horror stories when it comes to certain wrestlers, and it's like, oh, don't talk to this one, don't talk to that one, they'll do this, they'll do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because I'm such a, like, quiet person half the time, but I seem to be able to get on with everyone. Like, it's like, I turn up somewhere, I all timid in that, and it's like, everyone's really friendly with me. Maybe they say stuff about me behind my back, but it's like, oh, they're being nice to me. Yeah. That's right. I'm all right with that.
I'll be honest, since I think this is just my personal opinion, someone out there might disagree with me, but my personal opinion has always been that since the speaking out movement, a lot of the crap has been cleared out.
Yes.
And so I know that when I first went back into wrestling, I said to a lot of people, after the pandemic, when I first got back to training, I said to a lot of people, let's watch out for everyone. Let's make sure that none of that crap comes back.
Oh yeah.
Right. We keep an eye on everybody. I wouldn't say that we're the locker room leaders because I'm not cocky enough to say that, but I went to people who I knew were respected in those places, and we were all like, yeah, let's watch each other's back, so let's watch everyone else's back.
It's a bit like why I came to you in terms of training at NSAW. Not only because I trusted you as a friend, but because I knew that you had the best interests of everyone else up front. Your opinions when it comes to making sure people are looked after very much align with what we were wanting at the time, and what we still want. It's been a huge help, everything that's happened with that. But even without that, I always think that people have always, most of the time, have always kind of looked out for each other. I mean, hell, I remember I was going through a really bad time at UK wrestling, and I was not really feeling that well. Oh. Well, I'll just finish this off here. But yeah, just for everyone to know, basically just... well, I don't even know where I'm at now. Don't know where Dom's gone. Don't know where... Here he is. Tommy Dillon's back.
Don't worry, I can edit that.
Okay. Yes.
Right, so, yeah, what were we saying?
I can't remember anymore.
Right, yeah. In terms of, like, you say you need trust amongst everybody.
Yes.
In terms of my situation as trainer at NSAW, it was always like, I was going to push everybody to be the best that they could be.
Yeah.
Now, so I know a lot of people take that attitude and think, oh, bully boy attitude. Not even slightly the case.
No.
My situation has always been, when I came into wrestling, I was 32, I was out of shape, and I had to really step up with everybody. So when I train people, that's what I try to do. I try to push them beyond their own limits.
I think
because the amount of people I've seen that refuse to go beyond those limits and get stuck in it, and then just be like, "Oh no, I can't do it." No, yes, you can. It's like I've always had this motto: there's no such thing as can't. There are only the things you have done and the things you haven't done yet.
Yes, I mean, if we all limited ourselves by what we were afraid of doing or what we thought we couldn't do, I don't think half of us would be able to do the things that we do in the matches that we pull off. Like, I've surprised myself, and I'm sure you've surprised yourself.
Ooh, yeah.
Even just during the middle of the matches, it's like, oh, I just did that. Awesome. Like, for me, yep. I could even name one of those bits. One of my favourite moves is Randy Orton's scoop slam. So basically, their opponent runs at him, gets him in the scoop slam position, just rotates
Oh,
180.
the power slam.
The power slam, there we go. I'll get these names properly.
The running power slam, yeah.
Yeah. And I'd never done it before, but I really wanted to do it. So I said, Horace, I'd like to hit you with running power slam.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. I'd practiced the maneuver in my head a few times. I practiced the maneuver with him a few times, and then I'd come to do it in the match. I dare say, probably one of the best moves I've ever done. But I would never have been able to do it if I'd have been scared about doing it, or if I thought I couldn't do it. I just had to believe that I could.
Yeah.
And it's the same with everyone, really. I can't really say much more beyond that.
Yeah, I've done a similar thing happened to me when I was facing Damien Black. First match I ever had with Damien Black, a match I'd wanted to have for years.
Really good match.
Yeah. I said to him, right, I'm going to climb up on corner with my back to you, and I'm going to turn into a crossbody. This was a move that I had seen done, never done it before in my life. This was literally, not even in training I've done this. This was literally the first time I did it. He trusted me, and that was all I needed. And after that, it became one of my regular moves.
Very nice. I've seen you perform that move before. It just looks smooth every time you do it.
I love doing it.
Yeah, I'm sure that many wrestlers will be able to come out and say something similar along the lines. You just gotta have a bit of trust in yourself and trust in those around you.
Yeah, it's a team effort in that ring, right? Boxing, MMA, any other combat sport, you're trying to win. You're trying to knock the other guy out. There's nothing fancy about it. Wrestling, you're telling a story.
Yes.
And you're telling that story within 15 to 20 minutes. And you've got to stay within that time. You've got to make it to that time. Because a boxing match, that can be over in a minute.
Yeah.
All it takes is one punch and they're down.
Yeah.
Right? If we did that in a wrestling match, you've got 15 minutes to do this match. Right, we're going to end it with a roll-up in first 10 seconds. We're not getting booked again.
It's a bit unfair on the audience as well. Let's not forget the audience in all of this. If you just want to treat it like... I mean, obviously there's always the element that you got to treat it like a combat sport, which it is. Yeah. But it's all about the story. It's all about making sure that the crowd's invested in it. And if you rob that of them by, like you say, doing a 2-second roll-up within the first 2 seconds, it's like, well... What about the crowd? Yeah. They're there to watch something fun. They're there to watch people get absolutely rocked and just have a beautiful experience watching it. I remember going to see WWE live events. I've been to 2 of them, and both times it's always been really awesome to watch. Yeah. Everybody will have a go at any company. It's like, AEW, WWE, all these companies. But I just sort of look at it and go, each one offers something different. Exactly. And at the end of the day, if you're entertained by it, that's great. Yeah. That's what they're there for. That's what they're trying to do. If you are feeling entertained afterwards, the job's been done right. Yeah. That's how I view my matches. I try to make them as entertaining as possible, and I know you do the same. Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's all about telling the story, because people say that it's combat sport. It needs to be treated like a combat sport. I treat it more like a movie. Yeah, I treat it more like an action movie. I'm telling a story through all the movement. It's like if Rocky Balboa and Die Hard had a baby. That's what wrestling is effectively, just without the guns. Now everyone tell me that Rocky 1. Would Rocky 1 have been better if they hadn't gone the 12 rounds? Yeah, exactly. No, of course it wouldn't. There's no story there. I mean, they even say it in the movie. Rocky says earlier in the movie, I know I can't beat Apollo, but nobody's ever gone the distance with him, and that's all I want is to go the distance. And at the end of the movie, he goes the distance. So even though he hasn't won the title, because realistically, Apollo Creed is the greatest boxer ever in that movie universe. Until he gets absolutely demolished. But that's the thing. He's the greatest boxer ever in that universe. So him losing to this... what's the best way of putting it that's not insulting? Young upstart. Yeah, this young upstart who's been boxing out back of warehouses and that. For him to lose in that first movie, it wouldn't have made sense. Yeah. But for Rocky to go the distance, it proved that he was on Apollo's level. And it even gave Apollo a reason to respect him. It's a much more satisfying conclusion.
I mean, you can go to the last one as well. Rocky Balboa, same thing. He's facing the greatest of that generation, and he's in his 60s.
Yeah.
And they're going for it. All he wants to do is go the distance. He doesn't care if he wins. And when the judges bring in all the things, Rocky hasn't won. But who's the audience cheering for? Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. And I think, what was it he said? He turns to Paulie and he says, "The monster's dead now," because he talked about the monster inside him. Right, that's how I see wrestling. Is, yes, it has to be taken seriously. Yes, you have to make it look real, like a combat sport and that. At the same time, you're telling a dramatic story, and that is the most important thing.
Yeah. And obviously there are different stories within that. I mean,
course,
obviously you've got your comedy ones, you've got your, your friendly rivalries and, just friendly competition, but the ones that hit home for me the most are the really, blood-driven feuds.
Yes.
Like, the ones where the characters just absolutely seethe with hatred every time they see each other. That resonates with me the most. And honestly, it's what I'm looking for. It's the kind of feud I'm looking for. Because I've been in all sorts of feuds. I've been in feuds with you. I've been in feuds with Horace. I've been in feuds with Duncan, Sammy, all sorts of people. I'm just looking for that one where I can say at the end of it, people looked at it and went, wow.
Yeah.
That is a satisfying conclusion to such a bitter-driven story angle.
Of course, yeah.
Maybe it's a bit selfish of me to think of that, because I'm quite thankful for any match that I'm put into, because it's like I'll make anything work.
Of course, yeah.
Like I love being in the ring. Anytime I can get into the ring, I'm there.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm looking for, and I'm not sure I've found it just yet.
Yeah.
Sad to say.
Yeah. Well, two feuds of yours that I know did really hit home, which I'd like to actually get your thoughts on right now. One was the one with Horace at Firestar.
Yes.
The other one was the one with Billy O'Keefe at Blackheart.
Yes.
So if I could let's start with the Billy O'Keefe one. Can I get your thoughts on that? How did that all come about?
So Billy O'Keefe's an interesting one, because he was actually one of the few wrestlers who actually caught me in my transition from my old cult appearance to my new sophisticated look. And, the fun thing about Billy is that every time I go into the ring with him, I always learn something new.
Yes.
Like, the last match I had with him, I'd never been in an electric chair. Oh, what's this? I'm now doing an electric chair. I'm now in that position. I end up learning lots from Billy, and I appreciate him as an opponent.
Yeah.
Billy, if you're watching this, you're doing fantastic, mate. Honestly, jealous, but also really chuffed for you. You're gonna go lengths.
You're one of the best of all time, pal.
Absolutely. Like, seriously. But, with him, he's one of the few people that I don't mind going hard with, because I know he'll deliver the same.
Yeah.
And every match that we've had at Blackheart, whether it was main event or not, they ended up being probably one of the best matches on the card. The crowd were absolutely into it. The crowd absolutely loved them. If anything, it's one of the few times where I've actually challenged for a heavyweight title, and I've at least looked credible.
Yeah.
And that's all I asked for, really. And Billy was absolutely the right person to go up against for me, because, yeah, I can work with anyone, but I do appreciate going up against someone who's faster.
Yeah.
And Billy's definitely faster.
Oh, yeah.
My favourite spot, actually, is I get him up onto my shoulders. He wriggles out of it. He gives me a stiff, forearm to my jaw. He runs the ropes and he springboards off of it, but I catch him from behind, hold him there for a few seconds, put him down, and then I just German suplex him all the way over me, and just the heights that he goes. I even go onto my tiptoes, and I've never done that before.
Yeah.
It was the first time I'd done something like that. It was absolutely amazing. But Horace is actually, in terms of blood feuds or something like that, he's the closest I've ever gotten to it.
Yeah.
I mean, whether that was at UK Wrestling, whether that was at Firestar, I mean, we all saw what happened in the steel cage when it was me and Horace. Those steel chain shots. The funny thing is, he asked me to do it.
Yeah.
And
he likes to deliver.
Oh, good thing we both do.
Win or lose, he likes to deliver to the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt like young Horace in that moment this is like, I'm actually getting it. I'm actually getting this feud where it's just like the crowd can sense that we really, 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 really cannot stand each other, and like this it fuels me even further. But actually, I have a lot to thank for Horace. I have a lot to thank for everybody, but I have a lot to thank for Horace because, well, I don't have it on me at the moment, but I actually have a band that usually goes around my left hand. It's from the Andy Man's Club.
Oh, yes.
And I always wear it into my matches now. This may come as a surprise to some people, if you don't mind me mentioning. So I actually went through a really dark time recently. I almost did take my life, and I know it's not usually something I like to talk about, but I'm a lot more comfortable and I'm a lot more open about it. And I remember I was at the train station in Batley with Cliff and Jacob, Cliff Harrison, Jacob Reed, a couple other people, and I just remember breaking down. I remember breaking down because I was just staring at those train tracks and I knew immediately where my mind was going. I remember crying on the phone to Jen. I remember, Callum being an absolute bro, coming through and picking me up, and Richard letting me stay at theirs just to make sure I was okay. And, this was only a day before I was due to have my match at Firestar with Horace, the no ropes match. And Rob Bagwell, the guy who runs it, he said, you don't have to do the match if you don't want to. And I said, no, I have to do this. I said I was going to do this. I have to do this. And I went there, and it ended up being the main event, because obviously no ropes had to be taken off beforehand. And it ended up being match of the night, and quite possibly for me, match of the year. It was, honestly, nothing went wrong in that match. Everything just felt right. The audience were absolutely into it. All the wrestlers had come to watch it from the rafters. They were watching it from all angles. And I remember going into the back after the match was done and dusted. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled genuinely. And it was such a good feeling to have. I well up a little bit just thinking about it, to be honest, because it's such a powerful memory for me. But I'll always look back on my rivalries with Horace, regardless of what happens, really fondly, because he's someone who pushes me to my limits, and I think he brings out, there's people who do this anyway, you're one of them, but he's one of the people who brings out the best in me.
Yes.
And Horace, just thank you. If you're listening, thank you. That's all I need to say, really.
Yeah.
But that being said, I'm still looking for, maybe there's a bit of an extreme nut in me, but I'm always looking for something even bigger, even better. I'm wanting to really aim for the stars, really, if I can, because I'm actually going to be going to the gym soon. I'm going to start getting my body in shape. I want to look like a wrestler properly. I act like one. I got the moves like one. I just need to look like one now, I think. But no, that's really all I have to say, to be honest.
Well, as you say, NSAW is coming to the end of its first chapter.
It is.
But it will be back. But also, NSAW has already entered sort of a sub-chapter as well, with its collaborations with Firestar.
Yes.
Which we had recently, November to Remember. There's not going to be the last one, that's for sure.
Oh, no, we've already got another one planned. We're looking at about maybe March, February time. Yep. And it's going to be a similar sort of deal, just mixed talent from Firestar, from NSAW, and just really showcase talent out there. Yeah. One thing I do say about NSAW is that we've seen a lot of matchups happen there that you probably wouldn't see happen at a lot of other shows. No. Whether that was Leo McLean against J. Rowe Lewis, or people coming down from Scotland, or everywhere really. We've had all sorts of people pass through those doors. all over the country. Hell, we've even had, I think Chris Murphy, he's even wrestled in Portugal as well. So I guess you could say NSAW has gone a little bit international with its talent. But it was always a breeding grounds for such, and that's one of the things that I really love about NSAW. And yeah, it's coming to the end of its first chapter, but we know it's coming back. Haters say otherwise, but we don't pay attention to them, do we?
Exactly. And to end this on a really, really positive note, let's talk about the love of your life, Jenny Hayes. Jenny Hayes. Now, we touched on this earlier, and about your new baby that's on her way, Lily Jane. Yeah, can't wait to meet her.
Oh, she's.
But just tell me, how did you and Jenny get together, and I didn't notice?
It's funny. So originally, we'd had a passing meeting at this backyard place I'm on about, and a guy in charge. Oh, could you train some of the people up for me? That's a stellar voice acting right there. Oh, could you train some of these people up for me? Thank you. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. So I do that, and Jenny was actually one of them. Yeah. Bless her. At the time, they were trying to pressure her into doing a match, and she was like, "I don't want to do one until I'm ready." So already, she's 10 times better than I was, because I just threw myself into it.
I won't say him. That's bravado for you, though.
She's always been the more level-headed one out of the two of us. But then turns out she only used to live like 5 minutes down the road from the Be Strong unit, where we host our training and our shows. And she turned up. She wanted to wrestle. She was interested. And we met each other. It's like, oh, I recognise you. Turns out we also ended up walking the same way each time towards the bus stop. And she'd wait for me at the bus stop.
Oh, bless her.
And we just ended up talking. At the time, she was in a rocky place with another relationship. I'm not going to get too much into that. They ended up breaking up. Said she wasn't interested. And, that's fair enough. But part of me wanted to shoot my shot regardless, because I was feeling quite strong emotions for her at the time. Yeah. And I was thinking to myself, if I actually found someone who doesn't judge me for the kind of person that I am, doesn't want to see me change in a negative way what I am, and I can relate to them on many ways. So I thought, hey, let's go to see a new Batman movie if you'd like. Oh yeah, sure, let's do that. And go to see the movie, and I was an absolute klutz, because not once, and we even joke about it today, because not once did I even try to make a move on her. Not once did I try to do the sly old, put my arm around the back of the neck, try and get a sneak in a hug, a little cheeky peck on the cheek. And I hate to say this, but I was a bit of an F-boy at one point. I got around quite a bit, but Jenny was the first person where I felt like, I don't need to do this. Yeah. I wanted to have a bit more respect for her than this. Yeah. And then the second meeting that we had, I'd invited her back to my place, and I'd cooked her a full dinner. Nice. And I can't remember what it was. I think it was a pasta or something. And I just remember looking into her eyes, and we just shared a kiss in that moment. And the rest of it's we already know. We started going out. We ended up moving in together. Obviously, we got Lily Jane on the way. I proposed to her bang on, and I can say this, proposed to her bang on New Year's Eve. Yeah. As soon as it turned midnight, fireworks went off as soon as she said yes. Nice. I could not have timed that by accident any better. Although I was a bit of a wreck with that as well. It's like, hey, what time is it, Jen? Oh, it's midnight. Oh, what time is it? It's literally just been a minute. Oh, what time? It's been a minute, Josh. Come on, calm down. It's like, what? Is something okay? Yeah, no, everything's fine. I'm just there sweating, ring inside my inside pocket. It's like, I can't let her know. Absolutely letting her know that something's going on, though. But yeah, it's just been, especially with my recent crash, she's just been absolutely amazing. Yeah. And when Lily Jane's born, they're going to have such an amazing family with us, and they're going to have such an amazing wrestling family as well. Yeah. I already imagine she's going to be tornado DDTing absolutely everyone in the ring, and you know what? Power to her. Although, Palmer, if you're out there, you were right. I fell victim to the wrestler's curse. Firstborn's always a girl. So you're right with that, I'm afraid. Well, no, I'm not even afraid. I'm happy that Lily's coming first. Because I even predicted that firstborn were going to be a girl. And yeah, here we are.
Yeah. And there's a movie of the week coming your way soon.
Eh?
Yeah, you and Jenny, the way you just described it, that's movie style, is that?
Well, I'm not sure it'll top some of the other romance stories out there, but we'll see.
Take it back in time about, say, 30, 40 years. You could have got, Al Pacino and Meryl Streep to star in that one.
Hey, I'll look at modern casting, see what we can do. But
modern casting's rubbish.
Yeah, true.
But, right, yes. Thank you for being on this show, Josh.
It's been a pleasure.
And we're just going to go and get the final show of the year, NSAW Nuclear Winter, out of the way. And we will see you all in the future because, trust me, NSAW is coming back with a bang.
Non-stop, never stop.
Non-stop, never stop. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.